Good evening. It is now 7 p.m. I'll call the Tuesday, September 7th, 2021 Board of Selectmen meeting to order. All three selectmen are present. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from August 17th, 2021. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on these minutes? I had nothing. I thought they looked really good. I did too. All right, all in favor of approving the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from August 17th, 2021, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. I'll make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes from August 30th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on these minutes?
Again, I didn't see anything.
See anything missing? You good, Ken? Okay, all in favor of approving the Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes from August 30th, 2021, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. There were two pieces of correspondence in regard to a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on August 23rd, 2021. I'm just going to say that I did pass that along to the chairs, the chair of Planning and Zoning, for them to respond potentially at their next meeting. Was there any other correspondence that we received? I don't think so. Okay. Moving on to agenda item 4, selectmen comments. Any selectmen comments?
Is that you? No, I don't have anything tonight.
Well, I will say that we had Fairy Fest on the 28th. It was a complete success, and we're hoping to see them here again next year. Aside from that, we weathered the rain from the tropical storm that came through. Things are starting to return to normal. The level at the dam is almost back down to normal. And yeah, grateful for our Public Works Department, who were right out there first thing in the morning, assessing the situation and putting up road closure signs and doing what they do best, protecting us and our residents and people who drive through this town. So grateful for them. Ken, did you have any selectmen comments?
No, at this time I'm good.
Okay. Okay, hearing no other selectmen comments, we'll move on to citizen comments, agenda item 5. And I do want to just state that if you are in the virtual audience, just state your name and address as normal. If you are in the live audience here in the Merrill Sinay room, you do have to come up and speak close to the microphone that's here so that the virtual audience can hear you. So at this time, the floor is open for anybody who would like to speak. There's someone in the chat. Tom Angelo, 640 Fabian Road. You have the floor. Can you unmute yourself? There you go.
All right. Thank you, Amy, and other selectmen. I just want to again thank you, everybody, for the service that you're doing. And yes, I do agree. The cleanup on the storm was very, very efficient. Just a couple quick points, and it doesn't have to have an answer. But one of the questions is, can you tell me where and when the trash removal was taken away at the Riverside Park? Recently, we just started walking down there and it's a beautiful park. We've been picking up a lot of the trash and there's no receptacles to put the trash in. And the other thing is, I know that there's a dog poop bag thing on the fence. There's no poop bags in there. We've been bringing our own, but obviously not everyone follows the kind of the rules of pick up after your own. And then the other thing was, it was very unfortunate, but over at the library, we found some syringes on the sidewalk of the library. And it just goes to show you that we do have an issue in our town with obviously extracurricular drug issues. It's a shame. But again, thank you very much for the service that you're all doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you for yours. Any other citizen comments at this time? All right. Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to agenda item 6. We received notice of the resignation of Larry Consiglio from the building committee. I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Larry from the building committee with regret.
Second.
That was
That's
like,
fine.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion on this? It's
Yeah, Larry's been on the building committee. He's done a great job.
been a great asset, absolutely. So all in favor of accepting the resignation of Larry Consiglio with regret, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. All right, we received a letter from Brian Levensey, our new recreation director. His assistant, the former assistant for the recreation director had resigned. So they put together a search committee, which included Renee Waldron, town clerk. Obviously, she knows a lot about recreation. Marie Monjo, who's my assistant, but she was also in that position in the past, and Brian Levensey, the current recreation director. And they wanted to unanimously approve extending the offer to a candidate based on their recommendation. So I would make a motion that we move forward and offer the position to the candidate based on the recommendation of the search team.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this?
I think with the two candidates they had to choose from, it must have been a tough decision. And I think that either one of them would do a great job.
Agreed. So with that, all in favor of approving the recommendation by the search committee for the aid to the recreation director, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that's unanimous. Okay. All right. Agenda item 8. This is something that we thought it was important to bring to the Board of Selectmen, a notice of some increase in just the fees, not the annual fee, but just the fees for getting rid of bulky waste, tires. Formerly, a car tire was $2. I believe it's been that way probably for the last 10 years. But due to increased cost, it was recommended and proposed that some small increments in those miscellaneous fees be put into place. But obviously, we wanted to bring it to the Board of Selectmen to see your thoughts. In total, the changes would be bulky waste under 100 pounds. There would be a minimum flat fee of $10. Car tires would go from $2 to $5 each. An automotive tire on the rim, meaning a deflated tire on the rim, would go from $3 to $7. Medium heavy truck tire would go from $6 to $15. Tractor and earth moving tires would remain the same at $25. The cost of propane tanks would remain the same. And a fee to just come on and use the scale, because that often happens where someone just wants their car weighed. We never imposed a fee in the past, and it's being proposed that we charge $10. So again, just small increases to areas that hadn't been increased in many, many years. Transfer Station Advisory Committee is aware and agreed with the recommendation. So looking for the board's thoughts.
I'm curious about the use of the scale, the $10
I know,
request.
I wish Rich was in the meeting. Because he could explain, apparently, people just want to drive over the scale and use the scale.
I mean, how does that affect the attendant, or how does that? Is that, Is it-
It's, they just weigh a vehicle for
But
whatever
it's
the
use of
reason,
the scale.
probably for gross vehicle weight.
Yeah.
Susan?
There's a bridge with a weight limitation.
Right,
So, I mean, it's,
oh, that's why they do it?
I mean, we use the scale currently to weigh up loads that
Right.
are above, so we can
Right,
do the scale.
Mhm.
I mean, in the past, we put fire trucks over it to get a light and heavy duty weight, just to know what they're carrying based on the equipment on the water. You know, things of that nature. I've never heard of it before.
I'm sure it
other than
doesn't
that.
happen very often.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that it happens very often. So I'd be curious as to the rationale for taking an extra moment just to weigh a vehicle and drive off.
Okay. Well, we can certainly make sure, bring Rich into the next selectman meeting and just hold this off. until
Yeah,
he
that
can
would
be in
be-
attendance.
that would be the only one I would be
Yeah.
opposed to, or just curious as to why,
Okay.
how often it happens, things like that.
Aside from that, do the other fees seem reasonable? To you both?
The tires and stuff that has continued to go up and we dispose of them.
They're just, yeah, and the biggest thing is we're trying to keep that transfer station operational,
Right,
because it is valued by many of our residents. Trying to keep it above,
I mean,
above water.
even when I go to get tires mounted,
Mhm.
town fair tire, whatever, there's at least a $4 minimum charge just to get rid of a tire through them.
Mhm.
So,
So let's hold off on giving the full approval then until we'll get an answer from Rich and the Transfer Station Advisory Committee on that use of the scale again.
okay.
All right. All right, this was just agenda item 9, adding a charge to the building committee. Obviously, with some projects that are coming up, I wanted to know the board's thoughts on the building committee overseeing some of these projects. I mean, does it come down to giving the charge to John's here?
I think it depends on, like the track, they already have that
Mhm.
under a different umbrella. So I think it depends on, which item.
Salt storage facility? The WPCA would fall under its own board.
And the new safety building would be maybe a whole separate building committee or
And again, maybe we just keep it and think about it a little bit longer and see, wait for everything to be defined before.
well, I don't think that you have to.
I mean, we can add a charge at
Yeah,
any given
at-
point in time
Yeah,
Right.
for a particular project.
but at least you have an idea if it's coming.
I would
If
move
it's-
forward with the
With adding the
definitive on
charge.
the charge of at least the salt storage facility, so we can get a move on that potentially.
Sure.
Well, we do have the chair here. I mean, we could always ask John's thoughts.
So John Rice is here. What are your thoughts?
Whatever you add, we'll try to get it accomplished. That's it. A good committee is very active, so they're good people and different professions, so. And the roof project is winding down. Hopefully we'll get that finished within the next couple of months, as far as all the paperwork and put to bed.
Okay,
All right then.
so I would make a motion at this time that we add the charge of the salt storage facility project to the building committee.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion on that topic? Okay, all in favor of adding the charge of the salt storage facility to the building committee, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion passes. All right, next agenda item 10, North Grovenordale Pond Dam, Centerville Bank. I just wanted to give you both and the public an update. Centerville Bank has been very active, very proactive. They hired a new engineering firm. So they're not using the firm that was used in the past, which I believe was Leonard. So they have a new engineering firm that's very experienced with dams. It's called WMZ. We had a meeting last week. They also have a new attorney. And we had a meeting with Deep. Currently, they're evaluating 3 different options. The first option is obviously complete repair of the dam, with the hopes of somehow pairing with the town and having a partnership so that they could qualify for some grants. Doesn't give us ownership of the dam, it just means that we help them get grants. Chuck Lee from Dam Safety did not think there was many grants that were out there that was going to apply to the situation. So that's the only dark horse in that plan. The second plan that they have is potentially to lower the level of the dam to get it away from its high risk dam rating. So lowering the level of the water would make it less, and I don't understand the specifics. They don't have the report out yet from the engineering firm, but they will have it within the next few weeks, and then they'll be sharing that with us. So that would reduce it from a high risk dam, which might make it more palatable to a developer if it's not a high risk dam. And then the third option is the most costly and probably the least desirable, but technically they do own the dam and the land, would be to remove the dam completely, which is something that Deep encourages. But again, it's the most costly option and probably the least desirable. So nothing has been determined at this point. They did not share cost estimates, even though Chuck Lee asked them what the costs were. They said they didn't want to disclose that at that time until they had the full report in hand. So we'll be meeting in the next few weeks and I'll keep you guys apprised to that. But I mean, I'm excited because they did come through with an EAP, emergency action plan, that we had wanted for many years from Putnam Bank. And we had that in hand by March of this year, I believe it was. So Steve, our emergency management director, has that on file, as does Deep. And they do, every time there's a weather event, they do send engineers out there to inspect the dam prior to the event and after the event. So they are being extremely proactive because they know it's a risk and they're taking care of this town, and I'm grateful to them for that. All right. Moving on to agenda item 11, petition to the selectmen for a town meeting to appropriate funds for community fire station. Any thoughts? Obviously, it's a valid petition, and now it's in our hands to decide where we go from here.
I'll make a motion to move the petition forward to town meeting.
Okay. I will second that, and it's open for discussion.
Question. I don't think it can go right from this board to a town meeting because we are asking for an appropriation of $130,000. Am I correct? I think it has to go to Board of Finance for them to appropriate and approve. Then they send it back to us. Then it goes to town meeting. Then it goes to referendum.
And that's correct. So the proper procedure, just so everybody's aware, based on a Connecticut statute, is that if there's a request for appropriations above and beyond the budget, that it would have to go through the Board of Finance, who would then make the referral back to the Board of Selectmen to go to town meeting. So,
Does this dollar amount have to go out to referendum? Do you know?
We did change.
We
the-
changed it.
we
To a
changed the
0.5% of the town budget.
Right.
That it can be handled at a town meeting.
Right.
That was made, I don't know, 3 years ago.
Right, right. I remember that.
So, if it's appropriate, I just would like to share some of my thoughts. Because I know this became more of an issue because it was on Winnie today. And I just want to kind of set the record straight about a few things. In the petition, it says, whereas the town of Thompson currently has an immediate crisis with regard to the community fire station located at 862 Riverside Drive. Just to be clear, this property is owned by Community Fire Company and not the town of Thompson. The crisis has been known about since 2005. The board of directors and officers at Community Fire Company have allowed it to become worse, endanger their personnel, endanger the community they serve, and place the town in excessive liability position by the failure to recognize the issue themselves and move to remediation sooner on their own as a private entity. Notwithstanding, in the 2021 budget season, Community Fire Station's documents stated they had $134,796 in their combined savings, $81,280 in a savings account for capital expenditures and emergencies, $39,296.94 in a building fund, expansion, renovation. Just those two accounts alone total $120,577.71, $13,000 more than what they are requesting for the shoring up of the floor. Second line in the petition, whereas the facility is currently structurally unsound, and has been condemned by the town of Thompson, resulting in community fire and EMS being unable to operate out of the said facility. Well, since the vacate order was communicated on June 29th, they have continued to run operations out of the facility. A facility, equipment, personnel that are insured by the town of Thompson. However, as members of the board of directors and officers have pointed out recently, they are not owned by the town. In 2018, in a Winnie article, Community Fire Company stated themselves as in public forums that they are a private entity and they own the apparatus and the facility. Is it then safe to assume it is their responsibility to maintain? Instead of completing the engineering study in 2018, as was identified in that same Winnie article, costing between $12,000 and $15,000, they purchased another apparatus at a cost of $15,500 that they did not have an appropriate place to garage. Apparently, the crisis was not a priority to them. Whereas the community fire services, a large portion of the town of Thompson, and the EMS co-housed with the department serves the entire town of Thompson. Therefore, their inability to operate could potentially put the town and its citizens in the way of irreparable harm. Just for the record, Community Fire has responded to 53 calls as of the end of June 2021, 5.96% of the overall call volume for Thompson. The potential for irreparable harm is allowing the building to fall into disrepair as CFC purchases excessively on the taxpayer's dollar. The potential for irreparable harm is not running an automatic mutual aid when you know you can't appropriately staff an apparatus day or night. Also threatening the first selectman that if they are not given the full funds for the ambulance, they will cease to provide service at the end of 2021. I just see that their priorities aren't quite there. And I don't see them acting in the best interest of the town. Whereas in recent public discussion and surveys, the repair of community fire was identified by Thompson residents as a top priority for attention. The public was not informed of additional funding requests that have happened in the past, the lack of call response, disgruntlement among the EMS employees. The volunteer fire portion of CFC only provided fire protection services, not EMS, to their district, essentially providing half of the service of the other 4 districts, yet taking the same amount in annual funds from the town and the town taxpayers. Saying, I am a fire department, give me money, and in nearly the same breath, threatening to not release the PSA or make the town pay for capital assets the taxpayers already paid for should be alarming to every taxpayer. Whereas no funds have been appropriated or contemplated to make the necessary repairs to Community Fire Station located at 862 Riverside Drive. Simply saying we are a fire department and we need money is not appropriate when you are requesting nearly twice your annual appropriated stipend from the town to repair a decade-old plus problem. As stated earlier, in the budget workshop documentation, CFC has sufficient funds to do the repair themselves, yet they have not even started the crisis repairs. The savings account amounts in the document were prior to the $62,000 stipend. CFC is the only one of 5 departments in town that for the last 4 budget seasons has claimed a shortfall. However, based on the savings, there should not be an issue. And the last line of the petition was, wherefore we, the undersigned electors of the town of Thompson, pursuant to the Connecticut general statutes, do hereby petition the selectmen of the town of Thompson to call a special town meeting to act on the following listed items of business: to appropriate up to $107,000 for the stabilization of the floors and up to $23,000 for engineering of the building site for the purpose of renovating or addition. At this time, we know that it has to go to the Board of Finance. So I believe that the motion that was made needs to be taken back. And a new motion made to pass this on to this petition on to the Board of Finance for approval. So
What was your original motion?
it was Ken's. I
To
just
move it to
seconded it.
town meeting.
Oh, to town, okay, so yeah,
Based on the petition. Have we talked to the town attorney on this?
Yes,
That's the process.
that's the process. It was just very important to be clear that it is a private entity. I can't reiterate that enough. And yes, it's important. Fire service is important to the town, but neglect is not acceptable. Period. So how do we?
well, we could either vote on the motion on the floor and have it fail, or you could,
You could rescind it. You made the
Rescind it.
second.
Okay, I rescind my second. I can do that. Is that appropriate?
you second it, right?
I
Yeah.
seconded.
So rescind the
So I'll
second, and then,
I'll rescind the motion.
okay, so now we're back to,
So we make the motion that we send the request to the Board of Finance and then on to town meeting as appropriate.
just onto Board of Finance for them to appropriate the funds, I think, and then
Then when
They
it comes
would-
back, we'll move it.
they would recommend if it goes to town meeting or not, or it comes back to Board of Selectmen, then we recommend the town meeting, right?
Whatever the procedure is.
Right. Oh, isn't that typically yeah.
Yep.
And I only know that from being on the Board of Finance.
But,
So can you make the motion to pass it on, or
Uh,
did you want one of us to make the motion to move it to Board of
If you
Finance?
talk to the town attorney, make the motion.
Okay.
I would have to think that request for a town meeting should just go to town meeting. Because that's in the general statutes and that we can be requested to do so.
I mean, I know I'm not supposed to speak, but is there a statute that's
Yeah.
cited for that?
Point of order. There is, and I'm going to get it for you.
Okay, that'd be great.
Ken Slater, in my opinion, the town meeting does not have the authority to approve an appropriation without the recommendation of the Board of Finance. If a town has a Board of Finance, section 7-348 governs any appropriated not in the budget and requires Board of Finance recommendation for town meeting approval. So at this time, I make the motion that we pass this petition for an appropriation of $107,000 for the shoring up of the floor and $23,000 for engineering work, for a total of $130,000. We pass that petition on to the Board of Finance.
You made the motion?
I made the
I'll
motion.
second the motion.
We have a Motion and a
No,
second.
so
Any
for
further
discussion.
So
discussion?
this is in, oh, sorry.
No,
Now
no,
we
it's-
can have discussion.
Right. So this is not an endorsement of the petition and the request. This is just passing the request on to the Board of
Yes.
Finance from the people that signed the petition. Am I correct?
Because that would be the first step.
Okay,
Since they made the petition and the petition valid, it has to go to Board of Finance.
okay.
So. Okay, so any other discussion on this motion? All in favor of moving or passing that petition on to the Board of Finance for consideration, say aye.
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 That motion passes. At this time, we are going to move into executive session to discuss the acquisition of real estate in the center area of town. I was going to ask Wayne Bugden, who's in the audience, and Janet Blanchett to join us in executive session. But everybody else will have to leave the meeting. We can go into, yeah, there's nothing else on the agenda after this, so.
Citizens comments.
Oh, okay, wait,
Yeah.
come back.
Well, I mean,
Well, we can adjust and open it up for citizen comments.
now,
Yeah, yeah,
You move
Yeah.
right on 14 to-
yeah. So I'll make a
So-
motion that we move item 14 to item 12 and 12 to 14.
second.
All in favor of making that move on the agenda?
Aye.
Okay.
That way nobody has to wait around.
Works.
All right, and we do have one, I'm just gonna jump into the audience first, everybody, the virtual audience, Louise from 186 Pompeo, oh, wait, sorry, Jill St. Cyr from 346 Reardon Road has a comment.
Hi, Amy. I'm just kind of going back to the discussion on the fire station. And I guess I would question, with that appropriation of funds, will the fire station be including information as to how they'll independently sustain over the next 5 to 10 years, what their plan looks like? If they are an independent entity, I would think that they would need to propose what that gets us if we're seeking town funds for us to address the existing issues in that fire station rather than pursue a new building or new grants or other options.
This comment, so we won't be having discussion back and forth. It's just open to comments, just so everybody knows. And Louise, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your last name, from 186 Pompeo Road.
It's Pew.
You, okay.
So my comment goes back to the beginning of the meeting for correspondence. If I'm not mistaken, you follow Robert's rules for your meetings, and all correspondence must be read.
No, it just needs to be noted on the agenda and attached to the minutes. But if you would like, you can read your letter during citizens' comments.
I don't have it in front of me.
Louise, can I just ask that potentially you go to because I know that your issue is with the Planning and Zoning Commission. And because they're separate, they're independent of the Board of Selectmen, that your complaint really lies with them. And that maybe you'll get the most, you'll get a better response directly from them.
I'm very okay with that as long as it gets read in that meeting as well. Thank you.
And Louise, it will be attached to the minutes. All right. And, I'm going to jump back to the live audience. Anybody in the live audience? And then I'll get back to you, Tom.
Hello, everyone. Matt Herman, Green Acres Lane. Probably getting used to me by now. I just want to say a couple things on the motion that you just passed in terms of this not being able to go to a town meeting. I mean, unfortunately, we have no service in here, so I'm not unable to look up the statute that you cited. But the statute that was cited in the petition, which is 7-1, says that upon the petition of at least 20 eligible voters of the town, that when deemed necessary by the selectmen, so maybe that's what's not being discussed here, is maybe they're deeming it not necessary, but it says that a town meeting will be held within 21 days. So again, I can't look up your statute that your town attorney cited, but the plain language of that statute says that when a petition is filed with at least 20 signatures, that a town meeting will be held within 21 days. So, just wanted to post that for discussion. And then in terms of, really not supporting community fire, I don't really understand it completely because we do want to have them operating as soon as possible. So I guess playing the blame game or, calling them not fiscally responsible, I don't know if that really helps, taking care of the fire department and taking care of the citizens of the town, which obviously have a huge interest in this. I think the biggest problem here is we had ARPA funds that were available. That's free money for the town. I mean, the town didn't do anything to earn that money. That's COVID money. A fire station or a citizen affected by COVID all are in the same boat in terms of who those funds were for. And what the town did was basically say, we've got grand plans, we're going to use it on ourselves. And I don't agree with that. I think that's where that money should have been allocated out of the COVID relief. And now to force them to have to go through the town budget and try to get those funds. I mean, they're constantly underfunded anyway. Every fire station in Thompson, I would say, is probably underfunded. And so this would have been a perfect time to, when the town gets free money based on, COVID, supporting essential services like the fire department should have been top on the agenda. And that's why everyone at those meetings said, this is the most important issue that we're facing right now. So, it's not just community fire here asking for money. The whole town got together. We had a whole meeting on it and everyone felt it was the most important issue because it is obviously a serious issue. But that's all I have to say. So thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to jump back to Tom Angelo, 640 Fabian Road.
Thank you very much. Just two quick things. It's sad on one aspect because our town is such a beautiful town. The center of our town has basically no cell service. It's basically you come down from American Rental and you have no cell service all the way through the middle of town, but that's supposed to be the center of town for economic development. So as the selectman, is there any opportunity for you to try to get us better communications in our own town? Not only for safety reasons, but just, it's 2021 and we have this black hole in the center of our town. The second thing is, has there been any discussion of the beautification of our town where the old mill is? I'm not sure the exact name. I don't remember if it's Buildings or whatever it is where the tower stands. Can we take that property back by eminent domain? Use it as a redevelopment and use that as a platform. Build a new community fire department there. So this way, when we try to develop our town and bring industry in, the first thing that they're not seeing is this eyesore with a broken down fence and trees that are overgrown. Just my 2 cents. And again, I may be way off base, but I just think we have to start somewhere with the beautification of our town if we're trying to bring industry in, considering that industry is only, I think, 1.8% of our total tax allotment. Thank you. Tom Angelo, 640 and Fabian Road.
Thank you, Tom. We are actually on the same page with them. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No more being said, but try to get us some communications in our dead zone.
Yep. No, I like that. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. More citizen comments. I believe Mr. Rice. Got to be able to hear you.
Everybody hears John.
John Rice, 39 East Thompson Road. Just a comment on item 10, the Grovenordale Pond. I would not be in favor of removing nor lowering that. That's a a recreational area, I think that with the new directive that we could really enhance that area, because a lot of people use it as it is right now, and lowering that pond,
Right.
which has been done before. The stench that's gonna come from that is gonna be unbearable for the people living in that area. So I would not be favor of item option 2 or 3. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, floor is still open for citizen comments. Okay, Mr. Sharp.
John Sharp, Floral Ave. Just to set some of the records straight, Ms. St. Ange just says a lot of are true. However, as most people know, fire departments are underfunded. My personal, after 8 years of being the chief of the fire company, I can say that I've given you all the reports year after year showing our expenditures. Yes, we do have a savings account. Yes, we do have this money. However, in order to adequately outfit the volunteers, and I do emphasize volunteers, that we need to have this money in savings account to put towards truck replacement, to put towards personal protective equipment, to put towards SCBA replenishment. They all have a shelf life. They're all going by the wayside. Yes, we are independently owned, just as every other fire company here. My department's yearly expenditures from day 1 to day 365 is anywhere between $73,000 to $75,000. We get $63 or $65,000. So we're at $65,000. We're behind the 8 ball just to get going. We did purchase the land next to the fire station many, many years ago before I took over as chief, in the hopes of expanding. This problem with the floor has been brought to the attention of the Board of Selectmen many, many years. However, there's no funds that we can do unless we take out of our savings. We're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. We get it. However, this is a personal safety issue. Are we still functioning? Yes, we are. You all three have that engineering study that was put out by Ty and Bond. The engineering company that we have been dealing with, the vice president of the board of directors has been in contact with Ty and Bond, getting information from them stating that the first 2 bays, they don't recommend any apparatus on. We did ask if we could put our engine in the back section, which is a newer section. They said it's okay temporarily. The tanker is still in the newer addition onto the right side of the building if you're looking at it. That is not affected. The rescue truck is at my facility at Thompson Auto Care. Most of you know I own that. Our tower is up in Quinnebog. We're still maintaining the emergency services throughout the town. We are one of the busier emergency services because we do have the ambulance. The ambulances are still housed in-house, one of them stays outside. This has been an ongoing issue, and we've addressed that to the town, and we've asked for help for many years. Can we use this money? Sure, but we'll be coming to you again, probably 6 months, just to try to pay our bills. We are independently owned, we understand that. But obviously, from what I see here, Board of Selectmen, or most of them, are not concerned about the safety of our residents, especially in this area. We service the school. We service a lot of the businesses. We service the churches, the mill complex. We have a very deep core of businesses. We just ask that we're allowed to have a little bit of funds so we can continue to operate out of the station. We have a big plan. We are wanting to add an addition on. But again, there's no money there. We can continue to take everything we want out of our funds. Then we'll need a fire truck. Then we'll need more personal protective equipment. The fire departments need the money. We know we're independently owned. We petitioned this. You as a board decided that it wasn't apparently important enough to allow some of those funds to go out to the fire company, the ARPA funds. Again, if you don't want to do the addition, we understand that. But again, allow us to get back into normalcy. That's all we're asking. That's all I have to say right now.
Floor is open still for citizen comments.
I'm Ed Danielson from 1081 Thompson Road, and I just want to be clear on with the threatening of me at the zoning board meeting. So I solely have to deal with Tanya on that issue, correct?
The planning and
Planning
zoning.
and zoning.
Planning and
And
zoning.
Tanya is the person, correct?
Tira. Well,
Tira.
she's the director of planning and development.
Okay,
The actual board itself is who you would take. And I agree. It's just my hands are tied as a board. It has to go directly to planning and zoning.
so then
The
I would
issue.
have to go to the 27th meeting and present my case to them,
Or
correct?
if you present a letter to me, to this board or to my office, I will forward it to
See,
the
now
chair.
that, when I called last week, they told me that that was wrong.
Who did?
Your secretary. So when I called there and asked for you, they told me that you are not handling anything to do with that. And anything in a letter form has to be correspondence to that person that was holding that meeting.
Well, I will follow up on that because I specifically asked residents to send the letters to me.
And that was
So I'm
after I was
sorry.
on hold for 15 minutes, then they hung up on me.
Okay. I will look into it.
That's why I feel that pursuing that with that board, I do not feel confident that I will be treated fairly. And I think this is something that is serious, because I'm a little hesitant about even doing it for the simple fact of the way that person came at me. And now I got to deal with what is going to take place after I pursue it,
Mhm.
and feel that he definitely should be forced to resign. And I would definitely want a public apology, because I definitely feel threatened to this day about it.
And I addressed that with the chair immediately the next day, and I'm happy, Mr. Danielson, to stand by you at that next meeting.
Okay.
I will stand right beside you during that meeting.
And I just don't feel that I should have to write a letter to these people, considering how many people were sitting in this audience and how many people watched what that person did to me.
Mhm. I agree, sir.
100% wrong.
Agree.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Any other citizen comments? All right, hearing and seeing none. We'll technically move on to agenda item 13 because of the way we move the executive session. Other business, is there any other business that either of you have to bring before us tonight? Okay. I don't either. All right, so make a motion that we move into executive session with the 3 selectmen, Wayne Bugden and Janet Blanchett, if she's still in the virtual audience, at 7:48 PM. Dottie, I'll let you know when we come out of executive session.
Second that.
Okay, motion second. Oh, sorry. What happened?
I forgot it was a motion. Go ahead. I was
Okay.
watching everybody leave.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
I'll
right,
stop
we
the
are
recording.
in executive session. I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to eject people that aren't out yet.
I thought you said Wayne was here, that's all.
He is.
No, he's in the virtual.
He's in the
audience.
virtual
Oh, okay.
audience.
It threw
All right, so we've come out of executive session. It's 8:23 PM. I'll make a motion that we move forward with steps towards investigating the potential of acquiring real estate in the center area of town.
You're gonna list the purpose?
Oh, for a potential EMS and future fire station.
Okay, and I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion on this motion?
So wait, just clarify that again, the motion.
I make a motion that that I'm granted permission to take the necessary steps to investigate the possible acquisition of real estate in the center area of town for the purpose of an EMS facility / future fire station.
Okay,
Okay, any second?
I second.
Dottie should have gotten that. She's not here, but she should listen to that and get that.
She's a good listener.
She is.
She does a good
Any
job.
further discussion on that topic? All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. And we do have tax refunds, which Dottie had reminded me. Tax refunds. Okay, I make a motion that we refund the following taxpayers. ACAR Leasing LTD, $44.10. Richard F. Belinsky, $50.93. Ann T. Brown, $6.86. Philip L. and Nancy J. Dauphiné, $92.96. Richard T. and Jeannie Johnson, $3.42. Lawrence R. Labonte, $11.88. Lorick Tool LLC, $1.20. Mike Albert Ltd, $241.14. Todd O. and Antoinette Perkins, $10.53. Christine Sikorsky, $28.60. Vault Trust, $101.45. Volkswagen Credit Leasing LTD, $141.09. And Barbara L. Southall, $61.87 for a total of $796.03.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving these refunds, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion passes. Make a motion that we adjourn at 8:26 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.